it's Alice, and today it is time to take a look at how my reading went in 2019 and how I did with my reading goals and make some new plans for 2020. Oh, and also, Happy New Year! Before we start though, as I've done in the last few years, I've made a Google survey thingy that you guys can fill out if you have time to sort of see if you have any ideas for videos or other stuff for this channel in the new year. And I find doing that so helpful. Like last year, I got so many ideas from your responses and it was very, very helpful. So if you have time, you can fill that out. Also, that one person last year who wrote in the final question where I think I wrote, do you have anything else on your mind? And they wrote, my cat says hi. I still remember that and it still makes me smile. So please do fill that out if you have time and if you want to. I really find the responses so helpful and really fun to read through, so it would be great if you could do that. Anyways, let's get on to what this video is actually about, which is reading goals. So at the beginning of 2019, I made 5 reading goals, and the first one is the same that I've had for the last like 3 or 4 years, and it was to read 100 books. And I did. My second goal was to read 15 translated books, and I ended up reading 13, which honestly I think is pretty good. The third goal was to read 15 classics, and I read 14, which again, I'm pretty pleased with. Then I made the goal of reading 5 books in Norwegian, and this is a goal I've had for the past few years, and this is the first year I've actually managed to do it, and I am really, really happy with that. The last goal I made was to reread 5 books, and I ended up rereading 7, although 4 of those books were Harry Potter books, and that doesn't really count because part of the point of that goal was to reread books that I don't normally reread, like reread some of my other favorites. But I still feel like that's pretty alright. So I do feel like the year has gone like fairly well. And I took a look at my Goodreads to see my stats on how I rate books, and I thought I would share that with you. Now my average rating for the year was 3.3, which is not the best, but it's also not the worst. It's pretty much almost in the middle. And overall I gave 2 books 1 star, I gave 17 books 2 stars, 37 books 3 stars, 33 books 4 stars, and 11 books 5 stars, which I feel like is pretty alright. Now, I haven't read as many 5-star books in 2019 as I've done in previous years, and I mentioned this in my mid-year update, that I don't know if that's because I'm just more stingy with my 5-star ratings, or if I'm just not like picking up the right books. I really don't know. I like can't really figure it out. Also, 4 of those 11 books that I gave 5 stars to were Harry Potter books, and they were rereads. So I actually didn't give 11 new books 5 stars. 4 of them were like old favorites. Either way, I feel like it's been an okay reading year for me, and I've been on the verge of a few slumps, but I've managed to avoid them, which I'm very happy with. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with how it all went. Anyways, on to 2020. I have a very good plan for the new year, and it's pretty revolutionary, at least for me, and it is to not make any reading goals. At least kind of. I just think it would be good for me to just take it a little easy and not think so much about the types of books I should be reading or what genres I should be reading. So I'm just gonna sort of take a year off and not make any reading goals. I kind of want to do this not just to sort of relax a little bit, but also to see what my reading is like when I don't try to steer it so much, because I actually have a feeling that I am gonna pick up a certain amount of like classics and translated books naturally without any reading goals. Like I've had reading goals about classics and translated books the past few years, and I actually think that those are still going to be a huge part of my reading, even if I don't make any reading goals about them, if that makes sense. So I'm basically just going to read whatever I want and see what those books are. I'm going to make a spreadsheet, I think, like a very simple one, to sort of track what types of books I'm reading, like track how many books are classics and translated books, and how many are in Norwegian and how many are in English, and how many of them are rereads and stuff like that. And I'm actually really looking forward to it, just like tracking it and seeing how it is, and I'm just gonna try and not think about it so much, because even though I tell myself that I don't need to stress out about reading goals, honestly I kind of end up stressing about them anyway, which is just like, why? It's reading. Now the only goal that I think I'm going to keep is to read 100 books, but I think I'm gonna put my Goodreads goal to 1 book. So even though I'm aiming for 100, that's gonna say 1. Because the thing is, if you have Goodreads yourself, you'll know that that thing will tell you where you are in the schedule, like if you're ahead of schedule, if you're on track, or if you're behind schedule. And even though I know that I'm like fully capable of reading 100 books a year and it's not a big deal, when that thing says that I'm behind schedule, I just get kind of stressed out. It bothers me. I don't like being behind schedule for anything in life. So just having that thing on there, it just bothers me a little bit. So I think, although I'm aiming for 100, I'm just gonna put it at 1 and just see if that works for me, because it's such a little thing, like it's so silly, but it just bothers me. So yeah, those are my almost non-existent reading goals for the new year. I really don't think it's gonna make that much of a difference, and you guys are probably not gonna be able to tell, but I just think it's gonna be good for me to not have it hanging over me, because even though I tell myself it's not a big deal, it just ends up being like a thing anyway. So I'm just gonna take it easy and read whatever I want, and I'm very excited. I'd love to know if you guys have made any reading goals for the new year and what those reading goals are, and yeah, that was kind of it. Remember to fill out the Google survey if you have time. I would really appreciate it, and I will see you soon. Bye!